Boom. This can you say that with your tongue tied? Monpreneur. Okay, so entrepreneur who's a mom. Let's just do that. She's disrupting the ABA therapy industry, and we're going to get this show started. Let's get this one going. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Right, Business Bros. She's a powerhouse entrepreneur transforming how children with autism receive care. She's blending purpose with profit and changing family lives one franchise at a time. So please welcome to the show the founder of Success on the Spectrum, Miss Nichole Diaz. And Nichole, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I have to brag on you a little bit. I love your show. My husband and I listen to it all the time. Such an inspiration, and you learn so much. So thank you for what you do.
Of course. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And mompreneur. That's the word I was trying to get across, and I couldn't get it at the beginning. It happens. All right, Nichole, you're doing some amazing things with some very interesting demographics. Give me a little bit of background on yourself. How did you get started in this space?
So I married a man in 2014 that had a child with autism. So I suddenly became stepmom to a little girl that I had no idea how to take care of. I had no experience with autism at all. I was not in the health field at all. And the treatment for autism is ABA therapy. And it's not therapy where you lay in a chair and you tell a therapist all your problems. It is a type of teaching that is nonverbal. So you can teach kids new skills or to reduce problem behaviors and tantrums with nonverbal communication. And I was fascinated by it, and I watched her go through her therapy, and she learned how to talk. She learned how to make eye contact. She learned how to read and write. Like, this kid that started out just a hot mess was now able to function in the world. And when she turned 7, they kicked her out of the program. She aged out. And it was horrifying to learn that the majority of ABA therapy centers across the United States age kids out at 7. Older kids are more difficult to deal with. They're bigger. Once you hit the puberty, hormones go wild, you get a little bit of aggression. And so it's just too much trouble for people to deal with. So I started Success on the Spectrum really just for her. And as it became like wildly popular and I had wait lists out the door, I opened the second location. The second location was even more full than the first, even more popular than the first. And I thought, my goodness, I can't do this by myself. The demand is too high, and franchising was the answer.
Congratulations, first of all, to all that success. Because, it's funny how a lot of people start businesses for a lot of different reasons, but yours, I feel, is the most often one. You had a situation, a problem needed to be solved, and there wasn't a really valid solution. So you made one, and you just noticed that there are more and more people that needed this servicing. You ended up with 1 location, 2 locations, you go the franchise route. Now, I'm not in that space, so I'm not familiar with a lot of these ABA therapy places. But what makes you guys different? What made you stand out? Why did your second location fill up more than the first location?
Well, it's not that it has to be special, although we are, but thank you. The demand for this service is ridiculous. Unless you're in the autism world, I don't think you realize how prominent it is. The CDC just released a new study that said 1 out of 31 kids has autism. So statistically, if you think back from when you were in school, you had about 25, 30 kids in your classes, first, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, all the way up. Statistically speaking, there was 1 kid in your class that had autism that was just the weird kid or the one who talked to himself or the nerd. That child probably had autism. So even if we offer or open 100 new clinics in the city of Houston where I'm at, there still wouldn't be enough for the number of kids that need the help. And so the demand is just, it's wicked. It's really high.
Let me ask you about like the spectrum, right? Because I work at a high school, and you're absolutely right. There's kids that are all over the place when it comes to mental capabilities, physical capabilities. I mean, the range is tremendous, and I know that the spectrum on the autism scale also ranges. For your type of facility, what kind of autistic children benefit the most from going to ABA therapy?
Honestly, we take them all. And again, like you said, every kid is different. So we have the very low functioning kids that aren't speaking, aren't making eye contact, maybe not potty trained. They could be flapping their hands and not engaging with the world around them. They benefit greatly from ABA. We teach them communication skills, whether verbal or not. But also the high functioning kids that seem okay, but then have some random tantrums or violent behaviors, or the kids that seem perfectly normal and you can speak to them and they get very excited, but they're not potty trained and they refuse to swallow food. And so it's crazy. And then we have very high functioning kids that we are not worried about verbal communication, but we teach life skills, how to cook for yourself, how to bathe yourself, how to use time management, how to calm yourself down when you become emotionally wired up. And these are skills that schools just don't teach.
Hmm. You're absolutely right. Now, I've seen many businesses try to grow, and almost everyone inevitably comes into the issue of employment. You successfully have opened location after location after location. How do you ensure the consistency? How can we make sure that it's like that McDonald's feel across the board of all locations on your franchises, so that no matter where they go, when they're going to one of your franchise locations, they're gonna get the results that they can expect?
My franchise support team is very hands on because most of our franchisees, the CEOs that sign up for this business, they don't have autism experience. They didn't come from the medical world. They are not doctors, they're not specialists. They were just like me, somebody who saw a business opportunity, saw a need, and went for it. And so they rely on us a lot for help. And we have instant chat support, we have virtual support, we have in person support, and every little thing that you run or operate in your clinic is really assisted and supported by our team. We're very hands on. And for quality reasons, you want that. These are kids that were changing their whole lives. So it's got to be done right, it's got to be done well. And again, without experience, you need that helping hand.
Always support goes a long way. I think that's what really establishes the success of the franchisee when they come into a situation, when there's that support, because oftentimes, especially, to a space like this, you may not be always familiar with the resources that are out there, or how to get your support staff, or a lot of those different things. So tell me a little bit about your ideal franchisee. Like, what kind of person are you looking for? Who's going to be the most successful with SOS?
We're looking for aspiring entrepreneurs that don't just want a business just for the money. They want profit with a purpose. They want to make a difference in the world. We have a lot of people that come in that, they always dreamed of being a doctor, but they don't want to go to school that long. You can own this medical practice without being a doctor yourself. We hire the medical professionals, and you, as a CEO, are operating and running a team. So you need some people skills, and you're hiring and firing, you're doing payroll, and you're doing bookkeeping. We teach you how to do all of that stuff. So you don't need any specific skill set already coming in other than knowing how to talk to people, how to manage a team, and the want to make a difference.
I know there's a lot of people who have this theory in their mind about what it costs to open a franchise. And right away they go to the McDonald's theory. They're like, it's going to cost me millions of dollars to open a location. I haven't even opened day one. How am I going to do this? What's that thought process like? If somebody's interested in getting into the franchise space with you, what can they expect? Cost up front, franchise fees, that sort of stuff.
Our initial franchise fee is $45,000. And then to open, furnish, and have operating capital for your business, you need roughly $500,000. But nobody has that much just sitting in the bank. We help our franchisees get startup loans. We have business plans already made, financial projections already created. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You need about $100,000 in 401k, in savings, whatever it is. You'll need that money as part of your down payment and the franchise fee to come in, and the business loan will supply the rest. And of course, the business pays you back, and the business will pay the loan back as well.
Now, when we start a business, the whole objective is for us to scale. And we kind of talked about the staffing and having support for the franchise. But what about like the clinical integrity of the business? When you scale, how do you make sure that you keep that aspect of it in check, especially when it's such a sensible industry? Like there's so many things going on. We want to avoid getting in the limelight for the wrong reasons. But how do you keep the balance, clinically speaking, for your facilities?
We have clinicians, board certified behavior analysts that work for the franchising company. And while I have an administrative support team, we also have that clinical support team, because you're right, there are maybe some bad eggs out there that are going to make bad decisions. We don't want them to make you look bad, but also we just have some rookies that are just graduating out of school that don't know how to handle absolutely every situation. Some people only work with younger kids or have experience only with older kids. And so having the support of the franchising team with the clinicians that we have on board, you can get help with whatever facet you need in the business.
You were originally a parent looking for a solution, and you reinvented something so that everyone can benefit. Now, if you look back, if you had advice for parents who maybe they have children right now who are autistic, maybe they're looking for some sort of solution out there, and maybe they're thinking about starting this as a business. Maybe they've never been entrepreneurial, but they know what it takes to raise an autistic child. What advice would you give to somebody who may be interested or in that situation?
25% of our franchisees are autism parents that don't have experience or don't have business. Some of these mamas have been at home for 10 years raising babies. They haven't even worked. It is not, starting a business is always scary, but it's nothing that you can't do. It's not rocket science. And of course, being an autism parent gives you that special perspective that's going to help you connect with your clients' parents. And that counts for something. But I have to say, being a parent, whether you're an autism parent or not, owning a business like this fits in really well with work-life balance and family life, because we work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, banker's hours, no holidays, no weekends. We secure a spot in the program for your child if your child is autistic as well. So you secure the medical professionals that you need. But even if you're not, you have 25 highly trained babysitters working for you at all times. Like, lifestyle goes right on in there. So it's perfect for a mom or a daddy.
Well, and let's expand on that, because, there's a lot of times where the work-life balance is off because you don't have time to hang out with friends or you don't have time to hang out with family. But here you're literally building a community around the people that you care about the most. Can you talk a little bit about the community that you end up building, the people that you get to meet, the family that essentially you get to create when you get involved in a business like this?
Being an autism parent can be very lonely and very isolating. So when you see other parents like you coming in and out of the clinic, you definitely make friends fast and you definitely connect with them fast. But other than just your clients, we also offer community outreach events for the public. So we throw autism proms, we throw festivals, we do pictures with Santa, all the things that you want to bring your kids to do. But if they have autism, you're not going to stand in line for 2 hours at the mall to sit on Santa's lap. They're not going to wait. And so I get all of my friends and all my cousins to come in and run a booth at the festival and have a game or help the kids do an arts and craft project. And they're always involved with me with the business as well. And it's just good fun. And you meet really good people along the way. And it's nothing. You're going to be so proud of the difference that you make in families' lives, not just your clients. But when we throw these big events and the public just comes in and this mama is crying because he actually sat and made a friend for the first time, you're just like, oh, even if I made no money, this is just the best thing I've ever done. You do make money too. It's really checks all the boxes.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, let's be honest. Putting a smile on a kid's face, it goes a long way. This weekend, I had a birthday party, and I got a nephew that's autistic, and he was really fixated on trying to get something back. And if you ever work with kids like that, the fixation doesn't go away, and they can get very frustrating. But in between there, I was able to kind of shift their attention, and then change that frown, turn it upside down, and make it a smile. And then the giggles were there, and the laughter was there, and it makes just a huge difference. It's almost more satisfying when you can help a kid like that than regular kids, and you make them smile. Those are already beautiful and joyous enough, but to turn around some of those other ones, it's huge. Let me ask you about your forward-looking projections. What do you think of what's going to happen for SOS in the next 3 or 5 years? Any like new initiatives or tech integrations on the horizon?
Oh, tech integrations are always coming in, and AI, I feel, is taking over the world and hopefully making everything easier. You just have to learn the technology by then. But we do have some really good. We're growing. We have 100 clinics open and running throughout the U.S. right now. We hoping to open a lot more, but as of right now, we only serve kids up to 18. And I have big plans for our future to not just do ABA for life skills and social skills, but I would really like to grow into career skills and help the kids that are high functioning enough to do job interview training and maybe do some job or career exploration and help them secure their own future so they can provide for themselves, be proud of themselves. My goal as a mama is who's going to take care of you when I'm not there anymore. And I want these kids to be able to take care of themselves and not be stuck in some state facility drooling in a chair. I want them to have a life.
I think it's amazing how much you're helping these young kids, and on top of that, you're one of those examples of what a mom can do when she puts her head down and takes care of her children and does a lot of these different things. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs, especially some of those who think they're too busy, who think their life is too full of meaningless stuff, and want to do something a little bit different? That aspiring entrepreneur. I teach a high school class. High school seniors are all about to graduate this week and kind of head off in their life. If you could talk to an early entrepreneur, somebody who's maybe thinking about starting a business, now that you've reached a level of success, now that you've helped other people reach that level of success as well, what advice would you give them?
I love that. If someone had told me long ago and helped me to understand that it doesn't matter how hard you work, you can't get rich by doing work yourself. And although getting rich is not the sole goal of SOS, we do make a lot of profit. If you work really hard at a job, you're making your boss rich. You have to have your own business. There's no ceiling anymore when you own your own business. Owning a business that gives you a sense of purpose and a sense of pride on top of the paycheck is everything. Because again, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life. Having something that gives you pride, that earns you good karma, that gets you out of speeding tickets, whatever it is that makes the world look at you with admiration because you're making a difference in the world. It's not just work. It's the life that you build for yourself and the help that you give to others. When you serve others, it comes back to you. And so find something that you love that means something to you that you can also make a living out of. That's my advice.
That is huge. I mean, if you can figure that out, I think that's probably one of the questions of life, right? Who am I? What am I doing here? If we can figure that out, the sooner the better, especially if you design your life around that passion. Now, if people want to reach out to you, ask more questions, find out more about franchising opportunities, where can they go? And what are they going to find when they get there?
My website is filled with videos. A picture's worth 1,000 words, so they say a video is worth 1,000,000 words. And so we have tons of videos that explain what ABA therapy is, what it looks like if you're the CEO of an SOS franchise, how much it costs to get in, and everything in between. The website is sosfranchising.com. But I have a special offer for our listeners today. If you text the word podcast to our phone number, which is on the website, 832-975-1999, not only will you get a one-on-one video call with our sales team and with me, but we are offering one free flight to Houston to visit our corporate headquarters in person, have a look around and see the inside of an SOS, see the sights, smell the smells, feel the feels to see if it's right for you.
How cool is that? Ladies and gents, go to sosfranchising.com. Text the word podcast, you said, right? There's a phone number on the website. Text the word podcast, and you might be flown out to Houston. I mean, this is a cool opportunity. I mean, technically, if I was going to invest in a franchise, I'd want to fly out to Houston and see what it's like anyways. But imagine if the company just flew you out right away to check it out. That'd be even more phenomenal. Now, Nichole, you're doing some amazing things. You have a great history of helping people out, not only the kids with autism, but also all the different franchisees that you've helped grow out. You're leaving a legacy behind. Did you ever think about that before you got started? What kind of legacy you wanted to leave behind? And now that you've done it, now that you're building something, how has that changed?
It changed so much because in the beginning it was just for my daughter and she was what I wanted to leave behind. And now that I've helped so many other kids, every time I see another child say their first words or make their first friend, I relive that moment when it happened for my daughter. And it's just like all the joyous moments over and over again. And I know that the kids that come through the SOS clinics have this butterfly effect where they will now be able to have families of their own and pass down that knowledge, and the world will be a better, happier place for hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of people that can be proud of themselves and live independent, happy lives.
Let me ask you about that, because as a teacher, I get to see a new batch of students every single year. I've been doing this teaching for a little over a decade now, and one of the coolest things is to see these people grow up. These kids that were in your class that had these little ideas or hopes and dreams, and then all of a sudden you see them, on social media, and they're getting married, and then they're having kids of their own. Walk me through that. You must have gone through so many iterations of children now over the years. To watch them grow up, what's that like, knowing that you've made such a big impact?
You really get attached to these kids. They come to us for 8 hours a day. Instead of school, they're here with us Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and on average, they stay with us 3 to 5 years. You see these kids every day for 5 years. It's you get even closer than a teacher would because you just have them again, like you said, 1 year in a row. So you get to know their parents really well, their siblings really well. You see them start off this little guy with no speech to a sassy preteen, and it really is just such a win on the inside. And what's great is normally if people have their kids that are not in school, they would be paying for daycare and it would be a financial burden, or private nursing or something where you'd have to hire a nanny because they couldn't go to school, and that would come out of the parents' pocket. But with us, you're even helping the parents have their life because their health insurance pays for ABA therapy. It doesn't come out of the parents' pocket at all. It's not a burden for the family. It's a relief in both the financial side and the actual burden of teaching the kid and knowing that they're safe and they're getting the instruction that they need.
So walk me through that really quick. How are the franchisees getting paid? Because it's really nice if the parents don't have to come out of pocket, whether it's insurance or through a school system.
And it really helps, even, from a rich family to a poor family, you help them all the same. It makes no difference to you. Health insurance pays for it. So a daycare, you would have to chase after the parents for tuition, hope that they have enough cash. They would drop out as they couldn't afford it or come back in as they could. With us, it's very steady. They're contractually obligated to pay. Medicaid, private, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, all of these insurances are federally mandated to cover ABA therapy, and they pay twice as much as you would pay your employees. So it's very profitable. It's guaranteed. It's recession proof. The economy goes down. Dad loses a job. Doesn't matter. Health insurance is still there for the kid. It still pays everything. It's very steady.
That is really good to know, because let's face it, a cash flowing business is exactly what we're looking for. And yes, at the end of the day, we're making some real changes in life, but speaking about it from a business standpoint, that cash flow coming in on a regular basis, not having to worry about the parents making that payment, that is huge for any investor looking to start and get into a business with cash flow. That is a big deal. One more time before we head out, any final thoughts on or last word?
If you want to build a business that transforms communities, creates income, and creates a legacy for you and your children, come to sosfranchising.com, meet with us. We would love to see if this is a great fit for you.
Thank you very much, Nichole. SOSfranchising.com, ladies and gentlemen, SOSfranchising.com. Remember, you can go on there. There's a phone number. Text the word podcast, and you might get a free visit over to Houston to see the facility's first-hand experience so you can make a decision whether this financing option is for you. Nichole, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.